Chapter 8. The Wrong View of Nihilistic Emptiness. Unfortunately, nowadays many followers are confused by wrong views and deny the existence of individuated Buddhas by misinterpreting ultimate reality or Dharmakaya of Dharma nature as some kind of nihilistic emptiness in which nothing exists. They think that when one attains enlightenment one goes into some kind of extinction, when in fact at that moment only illusions and blind passions disappear and go extinct, thus allowing for true reality to be revealed. Simply stated, it is like waking up from a dream and realizing we are not the person in the dream, and that the reality to which we are awakened to, that is Buddha nature or ultimate Dharmakaya, is the true reality with real qualities, unlike the false appearances of the dream. Buddhas do not exist in the way that we exist, that is, conditioned samsaric beings with illusions, blind passions, attachments, and a distorted view of reality, but this does not mean that they do not actually exist. Their existence is grounded in the true reality of Buddha nature, which upon being discovered we refer to as Dharmakaya of Dharma nature, that is, ultimate Dharmakaya. We cannot say that our dreamlike samsaric existence is true and real, while the Buddha's realm of existence is just a myth, symbol, or metaphor. It is idiotic to state such a thing. Being awake to the true reality, a Buddha has access to all the inherent qualities of this natural state of wakefulness, which include a clear mind, clear thinking and knowing, the capacity to act without restrictions, etc. The dream person had only a relative existence and appeared under certain causes and conditions, as every dream is formed under the influence of various thoughts and actions, while the awakened person or Buddha has true existence because he has access to the reality as it is with all its inherent qualities. Thus, instead of being a nihilistic emptiness, the state of awakening is actually full of real life and unlimited capacities. Nobody who wakes up from a night dream thinks that he is now extinct, while the dream was the true reality. In the same way, one who becomes a Buddha and awakens to the reality of Buddha nature does not turn into a literary metaphor, symbol, or fictional character, nor does he think he is now extinct, but realizes that this is the true reality and the true mode of living. Nowadays, many Buddhists do not understand the meaning of avoiding the extremes of nihilism and eternalism, or of existence and non-existence. So let me explain it in very simple words. To say that everything exists, including a samsaric self or ego, and an eternal creator God, is the extreme of eternalism, while to say that nothing exists is the extreme of nihilism. However, by saying about samsaric beings and their environment that they exist only in a relative way, because they depend on causes and conditions and are constantly changing, I avoided the extreme of both nihilism, or non-existence, and the extreme of eternalism. Because samsaric beings and their environment exist only at a relative level, we do not say that they exist eternally and without change, that is eternalism, but we also do not say they do not exist at all, that is nihilism, like they do not appear. Samsaric phenomena are like a dream. It's real when we dream it, but actually from the point of view of the awakened state of mind, they do not truly exist in an absolute sense. In the same way, when we speak about Buddhas, we do not say that they exist like us, unenlightened beings caught in samsara, so we do not fall into the extreme of eternalism or existence. But we also do not say that they do not exist at all, which means we do not fall into the extreme of non-existence and nihilism. Buddhas do not exist like us, but they also exist as enlightened beings awakened to the true reality of Buddha nature. However, when deluded scholars explain them as myths, symbols, metaphors, or fictional characters, they actually reduce them to non-existence, because it is like saying that they exist only as expressions of the imagination of unenlightened beings, something like a benevolent Santa Claus. As you have seen at chapter 5, I like to compare this Buddha nature with the open space of a beautiful park where one roams freely and does whatever he wants, and the state of samsaric beings with that of prisoners living in a smelly, narrow cell. Prison life is fixed, extremely limited, and filled with suffering, while life in the open space of nature is a happy one, unconditioned and free. As our limited minds are incapable of understanding that which is beyond conceptual thinking, and this book is intended for ordinary people without any pretension of the high spiritual insights of the esoteric schools, I think it is very useful to use this image of the open space of a beautiful park versus the narrow prison cell to explain the characteristics of Buddha nature and those of samsaric existence. People who live many years in a smelly and narrow prison cell might not think of the beautiful natural park outside their cells, with fresh air, birds chirping, clean water, and lack of stress. But this does not mean that the park does not exist. In the same way, samsaric beings might tend to deny the existence of Buddhas with their natural, enlightened qualities or the extraordinary and otherworldly descriptions of the Pure Lands, but this does not mean that their attitude has anything in common with the true teaching. The fact that the entire canon of sutras is filled with active Buddhas and their miraculous actions for guiding and saving sentient beings should make us reflect that although beyond our understanding, they are very much alive and real. The world of Buddhas and their activities is so extraordinarily presented in the sutras, not because they are mythical, but because their reality is truly extraordinary and beyond the karmic confines of our samsaric existence. Those descriptions point to a totally different reality and way of life. If you live in an ugly prison cell and you hear about somebody visiting a spectacular waterfall or walking through a high mountain with big trees and chirping birds, fresh air, and invigorating smells, you might find it too fantastic to believe. However, your narrow cell is not the true reality. It is the same with the reality of the Buddhas, which is true reality. As beings who live their entire lives in the narrow cells of our limited bodies that survive on food and water, grow old, get sick, etc., we find it hard to believe that some guys can actually have as many bodies or forms as they like, go wherever they want in seconds, without leaving the place where they stay at present, hear everyone's thoughts, know everyone's previous lives, and anything they desire to know, etc. However, this is the reality of those who dwell in their Buddha nature and are called Buddhas. We should not deny their existence because we have never experienced this. Many masters urged us not to fall into the extreme view of nihilistic emptiness that denies the extraordinary qualities of the ultimate reality, the existence of the enlightened ones who dwell in it, or the Pure Lands, which are the expression in transcendental forms of the same reality manifested for the sake of saving sentient beings. In my explanations of the primal vow, I showed that only people who self-exclude from the salvation offered by Amida Buddha are those who slander the right Dharma. As Master Tan Luan explained, to slander the right Dharma means saying there is no Buddha, and quoting a sutra, he stated that such a people cannot be born in the Pure Land of Amida and attain enlightenment, but go directly to the lowest hell. Also, Master Padmasambhava said, quote, "The sign of having gone astray is to start making statements such as, there are no Buddhas above, there are no sentient beings below, everything is emptiness, since it does not exist." The shortcoming of this way of straying is the conceptual thought, everything is emptiness. Such an attitude makes you abandon all forms of spiritual activity, such as devotion and pure perception, refuge and bodhicitta, loving kindness and compassion, and so forth. Instead, you become involved in mundane pursuits. With regard to evil, this attitude makes you wantonly engaged in unvirtuous actions. Someone who acts in this way of perverting what is true will have no other place to go than Vajra hell. Having perverted the truth of what is virtuous, the effect of such demented practice is to take rebirth as someone holding the extreme view of nihilism. Having perverted the truth of cause and effect, you flounder through the ocean of suffering. Sogyal, there are many who claim to realize emptiness, but very few realize the ultimate natural state. End quote. Very few can actually dwell in the natural state of ultimate reality and see things with the innate wisdom of Buddha nature, which is why many practitioners who play smart with ideas of emptiness while they are still unenlightened and not free from the bondage of samsara fall into the nihilistic views. Such a view is dangerous for all aspects related to the Buddhist path, as the deluded person who is influenced by it not only denies the existence of Buddhas, but also does not understand rebirth, the law of cause and effect, and may even neglect morality and the teachings on good behavior. Everything can go wrong for the one with a nihilistic view of emptiness. This is exactly why Shakyamuni said in the Sutra on the Supreme Refuge, quote, "Even if all sentient beings gave rise to the view of ego as big as Mount Sumeru, I would not be horrified. The reason is that, although they have not yet attained emancipation, they do not at any time reject the law of causality and retributions for their acts. If someone gave rise to the view of voidness or emptiness, as small as a poppy seed, I would not tolerate this. What is the reason? Because such a view goes against the law of causality, and those who hold it are most likely to fall into an evil realm. Wherever they are born, they will undoubtedly disobey my teaching." End quote. There are two important footnotes in this section. The first important footnote refers to the passage, "Being awake to the true reality, a Buddha has access to all the inherent qualities of this natural state of wakefulness, which include a clear mind, clear thinking and knowing, the capacity to act without restrictions, etc. See, for example, the 32 qualities explained in Chapter 5 of this book." The second and final important footnote to this section refers to the author's explanation of the primal vow. Please see the chapter dedicated to the primal vow from Josho's books, The Meaning of Faith in Embutsu, or Commentary on the Sutra on the Buddha of Infinite Life.